Hello, and they hit me. He hit me with the lunch therapy theme song. I'm not ready yet. Okay, this is the pre-show, and this is where I describe what the show is. The show is called Lunch Therapy. This is the 108th episode. This is a place where we take a little break, we breathe, we have some fun. Today we've got Gini Sikes is going to be on the show, so that's pretty exciting. Gini Sikes is a comedian here in Hollywood and also an author and a journalist, and she's super cool, and she's going to talk about ducks because that's the kind of thing we talk about here on Lunch Therapy. Everything else, the news cycle, all that stuff, we let it go. I see Jose is here in the chat room. Jose is one of our regulars and also just a fantastic friend. And here we go. Lunch Therapy. Welcome. Okay, you never know what's going to happen on this show because it's live. It's actually happening live before you. It's not pre-recorded. People make chats. We put them on the screen often. We try not to, we being me, try not to get too distracted. But it's super fun. I met a duck last night. She was delicious. Oh, no. Oh, no. Now, after you hear Ginny's duck stories, you're going to feel a little ill. Hoy boy toy. The greeting on this show is hoy. It is an ancient myth club greeting. It means hello, but it's a more friendly hello, and it's more fun, and it travels. Science has done studies on the word hoy, and they find that it travels a lot farther than just hi. Speaking of traveling far, Ben McKnights is here, introducing special YouTube chat room guest, Ben McKnights. Ben McKnights. Ben McMornings there. No duck jokes that aren't funny. All right, Ginny's actually, see, this is the kind of show, this is Ginny's in the chat room, and she's going to be on. It's very meta. So if you want to chat with Ginny while we're chatting with Ginny, feel free. I know your mind has to do a lot of contortions to understand the show. Ancient, yes. It's an ancient greeting from back in the 80s. Hoy. Here's another hoy. So now, clap, clap, clap. Yes, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to do some breathing. All right, everybody get ready. And the way we get ready is we feel our feet on the floor, wherever we are. If we're sitting down, just feel your feet there. Get in touch with the now, being here now. And let's take in our first breath in through the nose, out through the toes. We hold it. Hold the breath. Let it out. Show me the money, Mike Hansen. I got it right here, pal. Aim to please around here. I don't have my Kraken gear yet. Waiting for that. I've had a dozen fried duck tongues. Shanghai, China specialty. Oh, no. All right, in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it out. What would breathing be without just a little music? One more. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. I do have a little announcement. Tomorrow, we're also going to have a guest. And some of you have already seen him on the show in the form of a short film that he made called Tricks Are for Rabbits. And his name is Seth Ward. Sethward. It's actually Sethward is how you say it. Sethward. I'm going to, just take a look here on the internet just to remind you of Sethward. This is him as Tricks the Rabbit. And Tricks Are for Kids. I don't know if his name's Tricks. It's just Silly Rabbit.
Yes, my Tricks.
So you all remember
Finally,
this.
The fruity deliciousness of apple, grape, banana, orange, and lime are
We don't have to relive the
mine.
trauma of this, but we all know that. But the other thing that I found about Sethward, is that he does lots of other hilarious short films. He has this one here, which is about how to get that office promotion.
Your parents just tossed you out of the house. You're working a 9 to 5 under minimum wage, but you'd rather be in charge of your life, in charge of other people's lives. Hi, I'm Sethward, and you're going from tossed to boss in 5 easy steps on this episode of How to Get That Promotion.
So you can watch some of Sethward's shows. I highly recommend it before we have him on the show, because we're going to have him live on the show. That's the idea. We can chat with him, and we can, ask him all kinds of questions, put him on the spot. The other thing that I found out, and I guess we're going to have to talk about this, but he was on America's Got Talent, doing some very, very odd stuff.
What the bloody hell is that?
Yeah. So we're definitely going to have to see, what he has to say for himself, because this is some cool stuff. And then also he was on The Gong Show, and this looks familiar. Maybe this is some of his early rabbit work.
I'm the best hopper in the entire world!
And then apparently, again, on America's Got Talent.
I am back with a new talent that I want to share with people.
This is going to be one of those good days, I think.
You were a caterpillar, and now you've turned into...
That's tomorrow. Tomorrow on Lunch Therapy, Seth Ward, coming your way. We're going to do, hopefully we're going to do that live. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to test it today because yesterday was a fiasco. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk to Gini Sikes about ducks. And I just want to prep you for this, because Gini, a lot of times on the show we talk ducks, but we really don't talk from a reference that we understand, because a lot of us don't have ducks. A lot of us have had no relationships with ducks. But Gini, she knows all about them. So I'm going to bring her on here. Ladies and gentlemen, Gini Sikes. Hey, Gini.
Joel, so good to see you.
Oh my God, it's so good to see you too. That was crazy. I had you on the show, and then you were gone, and now you're here.
And I was trying to call you for tech support.
Yeah, I know. There's nobody to call when we're both having the problem. That's the problem with being a tech support person. There's no one to call. No one to call. Anyway, so you're here today because we want to talk about some ducks.
Yeah.
You have your duck shirt on. You got that in India?
I did. With
Nice.
you and Jeff Lohman were there.
Jeff Lohman. Oh, really?
And Jeff's lovely wife.
Wow. I got this. That was probably the same place I got this shirt. Got that crazy outdoor.
Yeah, and I know, and I argued with you which one was better.
Wow. Tell us, you had a pet duck?
Yes, I've had many ducks over the course of a lifetime. And I had one in New York, but my first duck, I lived in Wisconsin, not on a farm, just normal town. And my mom and I went into a pet store at Easter, and they had ducklings. And I asked my mom if I could have one, and she let me. I found out later she thought it would die really quickly. My parents would bring us home. My mom and dad brought us home an alligator, one of those baby alligators. So they were very open-minded.
So they tried to get you pets that would potentially die. Was that?
I guess they didn't want them to die, but they just thought they would. Like when the alligator got sick, my mother put it in a bowl of chicken noodle soup, and I think that's what actually killed it.
You what?
It got sick, and she thought that chicken noodle soup would help. And then she told us that she let it go in the field next to our house. And we were scared for years, but she didn't want to tell us that she had actually killed it. But we found out later.
I wonder if that's a thing with parents where they they want to save you from the trauma of dead animals. So they don't tell you that the thing died. And for the rest of your life, you just wonder what happened to it.
And my mother apparently had a chick as a kid, and I guess it fell down a heater or something. But anyway, the duck didn't die.
Yeah.
And the duck was they're more loyal than dogs. It was one of those big fat white ones. And this is just a PSA for a second. Don't get a little duckling for Easter for any kid unless you intend to keep it, because those ducks can't fly. And what happens, people let them go in the wild, and they get killed, or they can't go away in the winter. But we kept our duck, and she would walk around the block with me, behind me. She would take showers with me. She would
take showers with you?
Mm-hmm.
No, okay, wait. Do they call that imprinting? Is that what they call it? Where they think you're the mother?
Yes, and they can, yes, it was imprinting. And they don't have to hatch out of the egg to imprint on you. Like if you got a tiny little duckling, it would imprint on you. And they can do so negatively too. Like if there's a bad experience, they will always think you're bad. But her name was Eloise, and she would actually go sledding with us. She was amazing. She would eat out of the dog dish with my big dog.
With the duck. And the duck would sit on the sled with you?
Yes, and then one time she fell off. She was on the front, and we were going down, and she fell off, and we went over her, but she flattened her body. So she flattened, and we...
No way. You ran over the duck with your sled?
Yes, but she survived that. What she didn't survive was me baking her a cake.
Why'd you bake her a cake?
It was her year birthday, and I made her a cake in the shape of a heart, a chocolate cake, which she loved. And then the next day she was really ill, and my mom said, I think Eloise is sick, but I wanted to go to a swimming pool. And I said, no, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
And when I came home, they had already buried her. There were these bricks out, and I just bawled my eyes out.
So did you get another one?
No, well, years later, I found out that chocolate was toxic to ducks.
Just like
so
dogs.
I had actually killed her.
Oh, no.
And I'm so glad my mom didn't find that out or tell me that. I don't know what I would have done. But all my ducks have met untimely fates. My ex-husband used to call me the Jack Kevorkian of waterfowl.
Oh, no. So when do you get your next duck?
Well, I worked in LA. I worked at a duck rescue place for about a year. And
wait a minute. Why do ducks need rescuing?
Because people buy them as babies, and then they let them go in the wild, and they get maimed or whatever.
They can't fly, and they can't do anything out there. So.
But that duck on my shoulder, I got that duck in New York, and it was after I got married, and my husband and I I always said I wanted a dog, and he wouldn't get a dog, and I said, well, then I'm going to get a duck. And for some reason, I think he didn't believe me. So we had a place in the country, and we were driving by a farm, and it said ducks. I said, stop. We went in, we get this little duck. Then we lived in Brooklyn. We had to build a duck place outside. They don't have a sphincter muscle, so you can't house train them.
Like all birds, I guess.
And they start out like you're their mother, and then you turn into their lover. Like
really? What does that mean when the duck is your lover?
Well, if it's a female, so when I used to pat my duck on the back, she'd flatten out and go, and I was telling the veterinarian, she lays a lot of eggs, and she said, and I explained to her what I just told you, and she said, stop doing that.
She did?
Yeah, she said, you're stimulating her. And
that was making her lay a lot of eggs, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
do you think they do that to ducks to get them to lay eggs?
No, not in duck farms. I don't think they all go up and stimulate them. But if it's a male duck,
yeah,
you don't want a male duck interested in you, because when I was at the duck rescue center, this duck Claude liked me.
Yeah.
And he used to follow me around and bite my leg, because ducks are they're rapey to female ducks. And so he would just follow me around and bite my leg and make it all black and blue.
I was wondering if in the future, we'll be like more evolved than we are now. And we'll be like, well, we can't eat animals. We'll probably stop eating animals and we'll be horrified that people are eating animals. But then after that will probably be the meow 2 movement, where people that were, cats that were molested by their owners or ducks. So, you might be a victim of cancel culture if you, last long enough to the meow 2 movement.
Well, I wouldn't want to be a female duck.
Really?
Because the one that loved me so much, we got her a mate because we thought she'd be happy. We went to a duck rescue place in Connecticut, and I took her there to pick out a man.
Yeah.
But when any of the men would come in, she'd just run and come into my lap. I was squatting down.
She was scared.
Yeah. So we picked this lame duck, Elijah, because he was kind of slow. So we thought he wouldn't be aggressive.
Yeah.
We got him home, and we put them both in the bathtub. And he knew what to do immediately, but I thought something was wrong with him because this flesh-colored thing came out of him that looked like intestines. It was really long and curly. And I called the woman who gave him to me, and I said, something's wrong with your duck. And she said, why? I said, something's coming out of him, like his intestines. She says, describe what it looks like. I said, it's flesh-colored. It's a corkscrew. And she goes, no, that's his penis.
No way.
And it like
so
a
ducks
snake.
have sex like humans do? They has like a big...
Well, it doesn't look hard. It looks like a snake. And it,
and it gets on top of the other duck.
And then it bites it, with its... And the duck did not like it. She would keep running to me.
I would think. So did you mainly have female ducks then?
Yeah, but you can't tell a duck's sex when you get it. I wanted female ducks, but there's no way of telling what they are.
Even an expert couldn't tell?
It's pretty, I'm sure, maybe, but
like
it would be
X-ray,
hard.
Maybe?
Apparently it's pretty hard.
Have you ever heard of those fish that change their sex?
Yes, I have.
They have these fish that all of a sudden the female will be like, I think I'm going to go in this cave. And then it comes out of the cave and it's like this big old like moose looking fish.
I know. I have neighbors like that.
It takes over the men too. It just like it takes whoever the dominant male, and they have this huge fight. But ducks have a sex. You just can't tell what it is.
Yes, and it's interesting because one of my ducks in Brooklyn wound up breaking its leg, and there's a reason why they say lame duck. A duck with one leg can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
I spent $3,000 to get the duck a cast. It had a purple cast. I had to give it injections into its breast. After that, the day it got, about the day I got the cast off, a raccoon broke into the cage and killed it.
Wow.
Well,
Revenge of the trash pandas.
And another duck ate a screw and died.
So that's 3 ducks you've had that died because of
untimely.
negligence?
Yeah, untimely deaths. Eloise, Lulu, and Lucy. Yeah.
Have you ever?
There were some other ones, but they weren't.
What's the duck that's on the plate in the picture?
That was Lulu as a baby, and that's the same one that was on my shoulder.
So they start out yellow and they turn white?
Correct.
And do they eat grapes?
Yes, they would eat grapes. I don't know if it's good for them, because I know that I was feeding my dog raisin one time, and somebody crossed the street to tell me I was taking him out on my scone.
Yeah.
And she said, those are toxic to dogs. And I was like, oh my God, flashback to killing my duck.
You got to be careful about these things. I think dogs can't eat chocolate. Ducks can't eat chocolate. Is there anything else ducks can't eat or they'll die? They can't eat,
Screws.
obviously. Oh, screws. Yeah. Well, most people can't eat screws. Most animals. All right, I have to go, unfortunately.
All righty.
Is there any other duck trivia that you wanted to pass along?
Just that, like, they are jealous. Like, if I'm a reporter, and if I was interviewing somebody on my phone and the duck was in the, where I was working, if I talked too long, it would start quacking really loud. And I remember, like I'd be interviewing like a cop or something, and they'd go, like, "Is there a duck in the room?"
I'm sure that is really good for your credibility. I have the same problem with my cat, Charlie Brown. He'll be just sitting there sleeping, and then all of a sudden, and then I'll get on the phone, and all of a sudden, meow, 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 meow. And I wonder if he's imprinted.
It's jealousy. They are jealous of the phone.
They're jealous. He starts doing that, and then he starts doing things that I know he doesn't like trying to get out the window when the window's closed, and jumping on my computer.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I bet he jumps on your computer, or if you read something, it's all jealousy.
Would you recommend getting a duck as a pet?
Thing about a duck as a house pet.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it in the city, and we would go to the country, and we would drive up in the car with 3 cats and a duck. Yeah. And we would stop on the way at this grocery store, and I would sit in the car with the duck in the driver's seat because I thought it was funny. Yeah. People would walk up and say, "Did you just find that duck?" They're great pets, but only if you don't mind cleaning up duck shit. And
nobody, there's plenty of people that don't mind cleaning up duck shit.
And also, like, your neighbors, are okay. I don't know what we never got in trouble, but I'm sure there are city regulations.
That's why I never got a parrot. Because, you think parrots are great. They talk, they'll still repeat things. They'll, it's exciting. But then you find somebody that has a parrot and they have like a room full of shit.
And they also, you have to will them to somebody because they may outlive you.
Yes.
When you get them.
How long do ducks generally live if they're not owned by Gini Sikes?
If they had really, really good treatment, not in the wild. I knew somebody who had one for 12 years, but none of mine lasted over a year, more than a year.
No wonder.
Yeah.
Duck rescue. Yeah. I don't know. They had the wrong rescue person, I think. All right. I have to go.
All right.
Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for the fun duck stories. And I have one more question. You got any grapes?
You got any duck food?
All right. I'll see you later, Ginny.
Bye.
Bye. So Ginny's head exploded right after that. And that's when I realized that I gotta, keep my head from exploding. This has been that kind of a week. I've kept a hat on every single day, and it's really come in handy. When the head was exploding, I wouldn't let Ginny duck sit. Just a little bit of advice there. So I'm in the Trash Pandas Club, and I want to talk a little bit further about working at Magic Mudhole because Amusement Park week is almost over. I know it goes so fast. So I was working at Wally World, and the thing is, I was Bugs Bunny. For those of you that missed it, I used to, I was the famous Amusement Park star Bugs Bunny. Here he is with Justin Bieber. There he is, welcoming. I think he's probably saying "Holy." I also was Wile E. Coyote. It's a tough job. You got to wear fur in 105-degree weather, and it is. It's dangerous. It's kind of a dangerous thing. It has been an emotional roller coaster this week. So you wear it's like wearing a really heavy coat and like a very heavy hat and walking around in 105-degree weathers. But it was one of the best jobs I ever had. People did kick me. People did grab my crotch. That's what they do when you're famous. I mean, if you're really doing famous right, people grab your crotch. You don't grab other people's crotches. They'd be come up and be like, "Hey, Bugs," like that. And you're like, ugh. And it was worse being Wile E. Coyote because people think he's indestructible. And so they pull your tail. Sometimes they'll just push your face. And but that's part of it. If they had dynamite, they'd probably blow you up. But it was a great job. There was this one guy that I worked with though who was like a career costume character. There's kind of several levels of costume character, and they're like, the first level is just, you go and you do like birthday parties and stuff like that. So you're like a rented out just costume. And that's where you kind of start getting good at it. I'm going to put the chat widget up. Here it is. Chat widget. So yeah, so that's when you start really working it, is the parties and the I'm going to go this way. But anyway, so then, once you get a job at an amusement park, where do you go from there? Well, the next level is mascot. So if you want to be like a mascot, you got to work really hard. And so Larry was one of these career mascots. And I knew that one day because I went out to his car after work and he opened up his trunk. He had like a Chevy Citation, with no power steering and like a vertical radio. And, he was grinding it out, being a costume character. And so at night he had to have another gig. So in the back of his car, he actually had a Trash Panda costume. Yeah, he had a raccoon costume. He did. It's weird. The tie-ins, And then he also had a rabbit. He had a big fur pink rabbit, and they would actually pay him to sit in a bar at night, just sit at the edge of the bar and drink beers in a rabbit costume. I don't know what kind of bar that was. It's kind of an unusual bar, but it's good work if you can get it. So he would do that, anything to make ends meet, but he had this dream of being a mascot, because that's the ultimate costume character career, is to be a mascot for like a football team or an NHL team. And so one day he's sitting there, like, we go half on, half off. So we sit for a long time together while we cool off, and then we put the costume on for another half hour, and then we go out and dance around. And he's sitting there, and he could only play Sylvester because he was way too tall. He's way too tall. You have to be kind of 6 feet at the max. And he was like 6'3". And he would have to wear Sylvester, and he'd have to be kind of hunched over. He couldn't actually stand all the way up. But, he was committed to it. And he also, he sweat a lot. You sweat in the costume as it is. And as I'm a schwitzer. I sweat. But Lars took it to a whole new level. He would sweat so much in the Sylvester costume that he would sweat through the costume. Yeah, so the kids would come up, hey, it's Sylvester. And he'd be like, oh, and he'd throw his hand out to shake their hands. And all this sweat would come flying off. And the kids would be like, what's that? It burns. It was awful. But he never let it faze him. He's sitting there one day smoking his Camel filterless cigarettes, and he says to me, Joel, yeah, I've got an audition. I'm like, oh, you got an audition? What for? And he says, to be the mascot for the Mighty Ducks. And I was like, oh my God, the Mighty Ducks. That's like a big deal. I mean, doesn't he skate? Yeah, he skates. And I said, well, do you skate, Larry? Because I think it's going to be really tough to. He says, no, I don't skate. But, I'll try. It's not going to be a problem. And he went to go audition to be the Mighty Ducks mascot. And the next day I saw him and I was like, hey, Larry, and I was a little worried. I was like, how did it go? And he said, yeah, well, I went down there and they had all these kids. They had kids that sat in the audience because they wanted to, see, how well I could work the audience. And, I'm really good at that. So I put on the costume and the skates, and I went out there and I had this big, duck head on. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. It must be hard to skate if you don't know how to skate and you have the duck costume on. He's, isn't that kind of rough? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty rough. I fell immediately. I fell right on the duck bill, and the head popped off and skidded across the ice. And I got up, and without the head on, and the kids started screaming. And I was like, wow, that's too bad. He said, no. I think they loved it. They should be calling me pretty soon. And I mean, that is kind of the kind of resilience that it takes, I guess, to be a mascot. Most of the mascots, I think, are gymnasts. Because you see, he had this book of all the mascots and had them all autographed. But they were like doing flips in the air and dunking the basketball. And I don't know whatever happened to Lars. Plushies are perverts, let's face it. Plushies. That's a term. Is that why you palm celebrities' heads? Payback for all those hecklers cupping you, your Franken beans. All right. Well, it's devolving today. So thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, we're going to have Seth Ward. No, I said it wrong. Seth Ward. And it should be a total fiasco, so I hope that you'll join us. We're going to try and do it live. We'll see. All right, it's time for Dance Break. And as you know, at the end of Dance Break, we highlight an up-and-coming musician. This is one that we like a lot here at Lunch Therapy. Not saying he's the favorite, but we really like him. Dan Dubbock. I like it. Tomorrow it's going to go super fast. It's going to be just like a crazy train wreck with Seth Word. No. I can listen to this guy all day. And the great thing about it is he's just out in nature. Just rocking it out. Damn. Is it Dubuque? I don't know. It's in Montana, is what I know. This is the part where it just kind of lulls for a second, and then it's just going to get... This is his song, by the way. Kind of weird how we had ducks and bunnies and trash pandas just kind of just making their way through this show, just recurring over and over again. It's as if there's like a grand plan in the world involving. My head almost exploded. Hard to watch. Cool sound. All right. See you tomorrow for Seth Word and some Tricks Are for Rabbits.